What's up, everybody? It's Austin from the BAStart podcast. I am making a short video today because got news a couple of days ago, 3 days ago now, that Chester Bennington committed suicide, and it's a problem. It's a very sad thing, but I kind of wanted to take some time to talk about that because this is now the second suicide of music people of the year, but that's really not the point. The point of this video is that I thought, obviously I was sad about what happened. I didn't feel good about it. I'm not a huge fan of Linkin Park, but I most definitely am a huge fan of Hybrid Theory and all that kind of stuff. And back in May, Chester made some comments to Music Week, to George Gardner was the interviewer, and he said some things that sort of rubbed us the wrong way at the BAStart podcast, I thought, and a lot of people online. And the thing about that was his comments after reading the actual interview may have been taken a little bit out of context in that article, but none of that mattered because what we saw happen is what we've been talking about, even on the BAStart podcast, but what we've seen happen numerous times in the past with media and people just kind of running away with what they wanted to make this story about. And honestly, I felt a little bit of guilt. I had nothing to do with this suicide. None of us did, honestly. It seems like maybe there was a lot more going on with Chester Bennington, at least in his case. But the thing is, it still bothered me that back in May when he made those comments, just how kind of vicious the comments were about it and how everybody sort of went about it when all he was really doing is trying to defend his music that he's proud of and that they put time and effort into making. And even in that interview, that he had way more things that were like positive and could have been quoted and made it seem differently, but that's just not the way the media chose to do it. So everybody attacked it, and it's sort of a big deal. And it was an issue to me. It's always been an issue to me. But after this, it's like, well, why do we react this way? And it's a problem. And that's why I'm making this video. It may not make any sense. I don't even know why I'm doing it other than the fact that, well, what I just said. But the fact that it just bothered me. And it still bothers me. Because it's like, man, we sat here on the BAStart podcast, episode, can't remember, the BS report, maybe episode 3 with Derek, our buddy. And we were talking about this, and it's just a thing where we're like, why would you say something like that? And that's true. You can't say that those comments were, I don't know, even just. But, he laughed it off. If you actually read the interview, it's kind of like a joking thing that he's saying, like, hey, we love this album, but can you move on? The whole stabbing yourself in the face over being, calling them sellouts and stuff, that's a little extreme, obviously. But again, he laughs it off. And I just think that maybe we were being a little bit too hard on him. And I think that everybody needs to kind of take a step back when they're talking about things like this, or putting comments out there on YouTube or anywhere, talking about anything, giving your opinions. Everybody has a right to their opinion. Everybody's entitled to it. But maybe not say that it's that bad, especially if you were a fan of Linkin Park back then for Hybrid Theory and all that, and that's what obviously has gotten them their huge following that they have. But you got to just kind of understand, people move on, people grow up, and their sound or what sounds good to them may change just because you want them to sound the exact same way because that's the Linkin Park well, that might not work out for them. So I just wanted to say this because I just feel like I'm big into music, and I have a couple, if I'm wearing a shirt, a lot of the bands I listen to change sort of their style along the way, but I'd never, and I'm not saying be like me or that I'm doing it right, but like, why do we have to go out and trash them? It just doesn't make any sense. You can like a certain band from a certain era, and you still like the band because that was them and that's the way that they performed it and everything, and just shitting on them because it's different now just doesn't make any sense. And so I know that none of this probably, again, had much to do with the suicide, but it's possible, and that's the problem. That's what we need to think about. If you're making comments like this, saying shit like that, it's gonna affect people negatively, or it could, and it's just not worth it at the end of the day. That was really the biggest thing that I took away from like what we were saying about Chester Bennington on in May, that you know, that was the story then because the media made it the story then. Nobody actually took the time to read the actual interview and see what the context was when he was saying this or how he was saying it. It wasn't a recorded interview, but the text is there. George Gardner, again, I thought did a pretty decent job of explaining it and, and saying that it was a joke, making it clear that, you know, Chester was joking. He was kidding around when he said these things that were literally up on headlines the next day or the next couple of days, and kind of getting him in a little bit of trouble. For honestly, just for defending the music he's making now and trying to get people to listen to it for the right reasons. If you're into hybrid theory and you don't like the sound of this, don't listen to it or give it a shot. I mean, is it not worth, for all the play that you've got out of that one CD for these past however many years, is it not worth maybe buying this one, checking it out, and if you don't like it, just shrug it off, be like, it's not for me. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me to shit on it to that extent. And again, I know, and it may sound like I'm treating his suicide or saying that the reason he committed suicide was that, which probably not. There's a lot of stuff going on around the internet, and forget it. I mean, it doesn't even matter. But the other bit of this too is he had issues. He was always pretty candid with them. He talked about it often, and it's another issue in society where we can hear this stuff and we know that, hey, maybe our friend has a problem, and we like to say, well, they're fucked up, they're stupid, they're whatever your opinion may be of your friend, even though he's your friend, you're disengaging in a way, and you're not caring enough, and it's sort of a problem. Maybe you can't be everything this person needs you to be, but you can be there, because not nobody, it happens, but you rarely have suicides committed when people are around. It's these people are alone and they're dealing with stuff, and it's not a good place for them. So if you do know of anybody struggling in whatever kind of way, it is important to do whatever you can. Make the call to suicide prevention hotlines, whatever. Look up the resources that are available. Figure out the ways to maybe talk to this person, engage if they are a threat to themselves. It's not worth it. Suicide is not worth it. And there's other comments from other people. Korn guitarist Matt Welch was saying some stuff, and whatever that is, he's been through it. A lot of us have been through it, and we get through, and we like to look down on people because, you know, we did it, and I didn't do this and that, and blah blah blah. But people cope differently. People have had different pasts. People can't always react the way you think they ought to. So it is important to try to connect with these people. Try to be there for your friends when you think they need, or when you think they need you. And again, just, I don't know. The video that I'm making it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just bothers me that this happened this way. It affects me in that I liked Linkin Park. I did. Not a huge fan now, like I say, but I liked them. And suicide's never worth it. Chester Bennington had 6 kids. There's stuff about potential issues at home and this and that. But man, if the guy wasn't alone, and if somebody was there to talk about this particular thing, everybody's got close friends that they can talk about certain stuff with. But we got to make sure we're connecting with our friends on deeper levels, and just know them, and make sure that if something is wrong, you're there to at least help provide a support system for them. And even if you can't be that support system, help provide it. Use your resources to just kind of, you got to be careful, but kind of let them know there's help out there, and you don't have to do this. You don't got to go down this road. And again, this isn't the typical BAStart podcast stuff we talk about, but we do cover all media, and music is big to me. I love music. Everybody loves music, but it's big, and it's kind of an avenue we're sort of driving down a little bit to an extent on the BAStart podcast, I feel like. And I just wanted to talk about this and get these feelings off my chest, and just put this video out and see what everybody thinks. Hopefully everybody agrees that it's just not okay, and we can't have this. We can't. The suicide thing it's heartbreaking when you think about what may happen, and understanding why it might have happened is part of understanding how to prevent these things. And so, celebrity or not, we don't have to lose another person from suicide. We just got to be there. We just got to be talking, and if it's not us, it's somebody else. But you got to get these people thinking differently. We can't be this negative. Nothing is ever that bad. We cannot do this to ourselves. You can't do this to your family. If it's you, if I'm talking to you right now who's considering this, you have to look out for everybody else, because everybody else is the people that are really affected by this. You might think that this is the solution to your problem, but it's not. This is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and it makes no sense. And we can't do this to our loved ones anymore. So please, again, it really is a plea I'm putting out here to you. Don't do that to anybody, and don't talk about people's content or their passion as if it's something that they shouldn't be passionate about, or that, just not to that level. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Everybody's got an opinion, but it is for somebody, and they do good work, and they do hard work on all this stuff. So if you hate my videos, I personally am not going to care that much. Please tell me. That's fine. But, it's better to be positive about it. Be constructive with your criticism and help everybody get better as a society. We need to focus on that. We need to stop everything. Obviously violence and all this, but most definitely this self-inflicted pain, and the pain that we're inflicting on our loved ones makes no sense. So let's all work harder to understand each other's emotions and not allow this to happen anymore. We don't need another article coming out about shitting on people for this and that, and we most definitely don't need to wake up to see that another one of our beloved celebrities or somebody that you grew up watching or admire their work has passed away because they committed suicide. So that's it. Thanks for listening, and the site. It's not important this time though, so thank you for watching. Appreciate it.